Hi everyone, this is Nibiru watcher, watching the sunrise, and now this object is now at the 7 o'clock position. I'm going to catch it on time-lapse and regular video. Let's zoom in a little further on this. See it behind the trees, the lens flare over here. Let's zoom in on that. See, behind the trees. Oh my gosh, people. Let's get right with God. I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth. Are there spots on this thing? I'm not sure. The time-lapse can't zoom in on it. Let's go back to time-lapse. Hi everyone, this is Nibiru watcher, observing this second object. See the trees in the background. I've been catching this on time-lapse. See if I can see the trees blowing in the background. What is that object? Is it Nibiru or its moon? And that black object, maybe it couldn't be Nibiru. It's moving too fast around the sun. Or is it? Wow. Let's see that black object inside. There's almost the center of this second object. Let me zoom out a little bit. Now I'm going to leave it just like that, actually. So I'm going to move the camera out a little bit. You can see the lens flare there. Put this and zoom out. See the lens flare. Let me stop talking about the stupid lens flare. Let's zoom in on this one object. 12 times optical zoom plus digital zoom. Appears to be moving closer to the sun and rotating definitely counterclockwise. It should be tracking it all throughout the day. So surprised that they're letting us see this with no chemtrails this time. Clearly you can see the pine needles in front of this object. If you say lens flare, well, I've already left my piece with that. See if I can zoom in just a hair better. I don't know if I can zoom in any better. I'll leave it alone. Let's put a welder's filter in front of it and see what it looks like. Does seem to be too smooth of a round object to be a sun. It looked like Nemesis at first when it was low on the horizon, since it's been following up with the sun. It's almost as fast as the sun is moving. Actually, it must be moving faster. Let me zoom back out a little bit. You can see our lens flare again here. Notice how the lens flare is coming from this object, almost like in my other videos. I wonder what that looks like as the sun shines through this object onto the earth. Okay, I'm going to go back to time-lapse mode.
Shot of what this thing looks like. Not too impressive for the time being, but that is it. As I mentioned, it's the size of a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and the way we're able to observe this couple ways. We use these radio telescopes. This one happens to be in Puerto Rico. Kind of interesting to see. This one you have over here, the Goldstone, is actually from the Mojave Desert of California. This thing is so incredibly effective. it can actually get an object, take a peek at an object some 10 billion miles away from planet Earth. So pretty amazing stuff. Let me show you this animation that we have from NASA. And as we pop this up, you're going to get an idea. You'll see, of course, the Earth, which is right in the middle. Then you see that line that darts right through the screen. That is the path it's going to take. It is not expected to make contact with planet Earth, but I'll tell you, if it were to, strike, the ocean, the Pacific, the Atlantic, it could make an impact that would cause a 7.0 earthquake, or possibly at the same time create a tsunami that would be up to 70 feet in height and spread out about some 60 miles from its impact zone. So pretty interesting. Good thing is, again, not expected to hit planet Earth, but it's going to make another pass a little bit closer in the year 2092. I think we're going to be okay. Maybe your grandkids might have some issues, though.
Okay.
Maybe great-grandkids.
Thanks, Reynolds.
You bet.
Wow, you're thinking way far ahead.
Long term.
Happy hour on this Friday, and joining me tonight is our chief producer Jenny Churchill and Evan McMorris Santoro, reporter and blogger for Talking Points Memo.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Happy Friday. You know, we've spoken a few end of the world theories on the show before, especially when everyone thought that the rapture was coming, but the theories never died down, and especially because we haven't gotten to 2012 yet. And so now here's a new one that apparently people are just going crazy over online. Take a look.
Okay, look at the Earth distance, 1.812. Helios right now getting nearer to us by 300,000 miles per day. In about a week, that number is going to be 400,000 miles per day, and it's going to continue to increase. You're going to see more and more volcanoes going off. That's your sign to wake people up. You have 33 volcanoes erupting right now in the Earth, and that number is going to continue to go up as we move along in the timeline.
Vote on the news, and here's the winner. There's a huge hidden heavenly body right here in our solar system. Evidence is mounting that either a brown dwarf star or a gas giant planet is lurking at the outermost reaches of our solar system, far beyond the planet Pluto. According to the British newspaper The Independent, the object is 4 times the size of Jupiter. Experts say the presence of such a massive object could explain why a barrage of comets has been coming from that direction.
It's been almost 10 years since little Pluto was demoted from being a planet, but today scientists from the California Institute of Technology have announced that they finally have solid evidence for a planet X, a true ninth planet on the edge of our solar system.
It is believed to be far beyond the orbit of Pluto, roughly the size of Neptune, with a mass 10 times that of Earth.
There are things out there, little icy objects that are orbiting in a funny way, and nobody was quite sure why. It seemed like there might be something with gravity pulling on them, but nobody quite understood. And finally, these scientists that you talked about took a really hard look at it, did simulations, calculations, and they came up with the explanation. It probably is this giant planet.
I think I read somewhere it orbits the sun every 10,000 to 20,000 years.
Right.
Is that why no one has seen it to this point?
No, that's not why. It's because it's so dim. It's so far away that even though it's big, it's very, very dim, and it's very tough to spot with a telescope.
I'm also fascinated at the idea that this planet could be so far out there and still our sun be the mass that is keeping it in the gravitational pull of our solar system.
Right, yeah, but no, it's true.
That's incredible. And so there was a thought at one point from scientists that when they thought that there was something beyond Pluto, that it might have been all the massive objects floating in the Kuiper Belt, but it's not.
Right, so all those objects are out there and they have a lot of mass, and originally the scientists said, look, a planet is such a crazy idea, maybe it's the Kuiper Belt itself that's pulling it on itself. and making these orbits look funny.
And when we talk about the mass of this planet X, this ninth planet, being 10 times that of Earth, for those who are not scientists, what does that really mean, the mass of a planet versus Earth's mass?
Well, if you could put it on a scale, how much it would weigh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. And so it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's got more heft, it's got more gravity. It's this huge elephant in the living room, except we didn't know it was there.
You mentioned that scientists haven't seen it yet because of how far away it is and how dim it is. Is there a way for them to get visual evidence?
Yes, so the biggest telescopes in the world can theoretically see this thing if they're looking in exactly the right place. And with the publication of this new paper today, they are now going to start to look in earnest.
How much further out there is this planet X than the rest of the planets in the solar system? I mean, it's
well, so Pluto we think of as the really out at the very edge, the very farthest thing that you could call a planet, even though we don't anymore. And
I'm still supporting Pluto's right to be a planet.
But this thing is 5 times further out than Pluto.
Fascinating. Is there any chance it's not a planet?
No, there's always. It's very foolish to say no chance because you know, you just don't know what you don't know. But the odds are looking very, very good.
60 billion miles from the sun.
Yep.
Amazing stuff. Michael Lemonick, thank you so much. Fascinating stuff.
Great, thanks.
Pluto, the sometimes planet, may be hiding a pretty huge secret. Well, 2 huge secrets, actually. Astronomers in Spain believe that hiding behind Pluto, obscured from our view, are 2 additional giant planets. Spanish scientists in Madrid discovered the potential for the 2 massive celestial bodies at the outer reaches of our solar system after studying strange patterns in the orbit of rocky objects around Pluto, including the newly discovered dwarf planet 2012 VP113. Scientists believe the first hidden world would be about 10 times the mass of Earth. They believe that this planet is moving in resonance with a bigger planet that is somewhere between Mars and Jupiter in size and would orbit 200 times the Earth's distance from the Sun. But can we ever conclusively confirm the existence of these 2 planets? Well, Scott Shepard at the Carnegie Institution for Science had this to say. As there are only a few of these extremely distant objects known, it's hard to say anything definitive about the number or location of any distant planets. However, in the near future, we should have more objects to work with to help us determine the structure of the outer solar system. So there you have it. Time will tell.
Now, here's the asteroid story. An asteroid the size of the Rose Bowl, more than 1,000 feet across, fields its way toward the Earth right now. It'll come by first in 2029, and we'll see it up there. It'll be closer than our satellites, a thing the size of the Rose Bowl hurtling through the air. And then it comes again in 2036, and that's when it may get interesting. The debate over just how close it'll get is sparking some serious debate between Russian scientists and American scientists. Here's a satellite picture of the thing. This is from, well, with this and, you know, this tells you nothing. But you see it there? I don't know, that circly thing in the middle maybe? This was from 2004. It doesn't look very intimidating here. Both sides seem to agree that in 3 decades, the asteroid will fly very close to Earth. But Russian scientists warn that our planet's gravity could change the asteroid's path and set it on a collision course. NASA scientists say there is a minuscule, little bitty chance of that happening. 1 in 250,000. Better than winning the lotto, and somebody will. Joining us now, Michio Kaku. He's a theoretical physics professor at City University of New York, CUNY. He's also the author of Physics of the Future. And a new book coming out in about a month, and we'll tell you about that in about a month. So, good to see you. 2029, it flies by underneath the satellites.
That's right. Mark it on your calendar. Friday the 13th, April 2036.
Well, that's the second pass.
On the second pass, right? The first pass, like you said, it comes right underneath our satellites. You can actually see it whizzing right overhead.
Wow.
And on the second pass, it might actually be a nation buster. It'll take out Germany. It'll take out France, England.
Not England.
Right. Or the entire northeast of the United States. It'll hit with the force of 100,000 Hiroshima bombs.
Really? If it hits.
If it hits, right. It's a catastrophe beyond human comprehension. And the head of the Russian Space Agency has said that the Russian scientists should think of some ways of deflecting it or handling this menace in 2036.
What are we going to do? Shoot it with a laser?
Well, everyone thinks we'll send Bruce Willis out there with the space shuttle. But the space shuttle can't even reach outer space. We're phasing it out, and the space shuttle only spins wheels around the planet Earth. It cannot even go to deep space. We need a new booster rocket to take us out there.
Maybe China will build us one.
Maybe, and then we have to nudge it out of the way. The farther it is, the easier it
September 21st, 2016. Those who follow the news as it relates to climate change on a regular basis are aware and ultimately concerned that the weather is becoming more unpredictable and more bizarre with each passing day. As an example of the changes we are now confronted with, let's look at the weather patterns and climate conditions that are happening in the United States. The East Coast is experiencing an inexplicably warm summer. Historically temperate regions like the Adirondacks and the White Mountains were hit with numerous record-high temperatures that have baffled meteorologists across the nation. Forecasters, including some of the country's most respected climatologists, predict another warm fall and seasonable winter for areas normally ravaged by blistering cold and mountains of snow. Although the National Weather Service, the NOAA, and the World Meteorological Organization provide no meaningful explanation for sudden drastic climate change, ostracized scientists and whistleblowers attribute these Earth changes to Nibiru, said to be a brown dwarf star with 7 orbiting planets rapidly approaching our inner solar system. According to recent non-established reports, Dr. Ethan Trowbridge, a former USGS climatologist who supervised the geomagnetism program and the core sciences division of this agency, blames climate discrepancies on Nibiru's proximity to our planet. According to Trowbridge, Nibiru is no myth. It is real and it is here. The USGS has secretly monitored Nibiru's approach for some 3 decades now, conveniently covering up its existence and influence on our planet with a mountain of misinformation, like blaming climate shift on greenhouse gases. Dr. Trowbridge cites a leaked USGS memo as evidence of Nibiru's influence on Earth. This memo, showing here, demonstrates a significant deviation from established weather in the northeastern United States. If all information is accurate, this forecast depicts a dangerous rise in median temperatures along the eastern seaboard. Many noteworthy scholars have argued that even a worldwide 3-degree shift will destabilize the Earth's atmosphere and plunge this planet into another ice age with a resulting pole shift. Do you know who this man is? His name is Damir Zakharovich. He is a Russian astronomer and former scientific advisor to Vladimir Putin. Earlier this year, he divulged information about the dark star to Pravda, and now has to operate from the shadows for fear of being blacklisted. He recently indicated that the drastic changes that are occurring across the globe, and especially this year in the United States, depends on the movement of Planet X, which is consistently moving, and the changes here on Earth fluctuate with the movement of this planet in our solar system. He further explains that the planets around the brown dwarf orbit this dark star. The precise position of the planets and the system itself dictate how the Nibiru system impacts Earth at any given moment in time. As it grows close, changes will be more widespread and pronounced. In recent months, a growing number of whistleblowers have come out to speak publicly about the arrival of Planet X. The USGS is believed to be one of those government agencies that is actively engaging, along with NASA, to conceal Nibiru's existence and to blame drastic climate changes on man-made events, like over-reliance on fossil fuels and releasing chlorofluorocarbons into the atmosphere, rather than attribute Earth changes to Nibiru's proximity to our planet. The United States Geological Survey has known for many years that Antarctica would be ravaged by the approach of this system. This is because Nibiru is on an elongated elliptical orbit relative to our southern hemisphere. So people living in this part of the world would see Nibiru first, and they shall also be the first to experience whatever Nibiru brings with it. And it's not bringing anything good. The Ronnie ice shelf will likely break off the continent and drift into the Weddell Sea. This will cause enormous icebergs to drift toward New Zealand. As the ice reaches warmer waters, it will rapidly melt, causing a significant rise in sea levels. To give you an idea of the significance of such an event, if it were to take place, and recent data from these locations suggest that this is happening now and at an accelerated rate. Take a look at this video of what our future continents may look like. The Ross Ice Shelf, the world's largest at 487,000 square kilometers, roughly the size of France, may also separate from the continent, causing mountainous clusters of ice to float south towards New Zealand and Australia. Polar storms, unlike any the world has seen, will ravage the continent in conjunction with a marked increase in seismic and volcanic activity. Mount Sipple, one of Antarctica's largest active volcanoes, is certain to erupt, sending a plume of deadly ash into the atmosphere. This will be the start of a pole shift. Large earthquakes will ripple across the continent. Add to that multiple super eruptions. This will shake Antarctica to its very foundation. And this is just the beginning. What happens in Antarctica is merely a precursor for what will happen across the entire globe. The devastation will start there, then rapidly spread. Scientists who are aware and who know of this approaching system have indicated that those living in the southern hemisphere will be the first to witness its destruction, but that those who live in the northern hemisphere should be prepared for what's coming, as the geography of North America will be forever changed by the rising sea levels and tsunamis that will affect all three coastlines of the United States. Those living in large metropolitan areas near coastlines will be affected in unimaginable ways by these drastic changes, as the coastlines of the United States will be several hundred miles inland from their current locations. It may be interesting to note that this data matches warnings issued by other Nibiru whistleblowers and researchers. Renegade astronomer Paul Cox and Nibiru enthusiast John Moore have released maps depicting North America's post-Nibiru coastlines. I know this all sounds horrible and almost unbelievable. This depiction is what we would call a perfect nightmare scenario for millions of people. But it is important that you remember one thing above all else. Humans have a strong desire to survive. So although lives will be changed in the blink of an eye by what approaches, life will continue on this planet in one form or another, as it always has. I would like to direct your attention to a few very intriguing images and videos that I received just recently. Now, I would encourage you to continue sending your images and video captures to our Facebook page at the address shown here. You can also send them private email on our YouTube account by clicking on the About icon located on our channel page shown below. The first image captured from the Soho Imaging website on September the 16th is showing a massive object just below the ecliptic plane, which is shaped similar to a comet. Now, if we enlarge this object, you will notice that immediately behind this giant comet-like object is a trail of debris, meteors and asteroids, and then a cluster of planets and smaller objects following in a serpentine formation or a double helix formation, what some have called the string of pearls. Now, if this satellite image has indeed captured this complex of planets or the Nemesis system, then the notion that it has entered our inner solar system, as Marshall Masters and Major Ed Dames and other Nibiru researchers are now claiming, then this could be very well true. Once the system crosses the ecliptic plane, its movement will be more rapid, and it will become more visible in both the daylight and the evening sky. On September 2nd, an incredible video capture of the blue Kachina was recorded in the evening sky. Take a look at these extraordinary images seen from a distance and then enlarged. This fits the description of the blue star as described by the Hopi tribe. Now take a look at the image once again in this photo. To the right is the actual object that was observed. But if you look at the ancient inscription to the left, you will notice how remarkably similar the circled inscription is to the formation of the observed object. These images are absolutely astonishing and irrefutably undeniable. Finally, I wanted to share this September 14th video captured by a skywatcher that actually considers himself to be a diehard skeptic of Planet X. He says that after viewing what he captured outside on video on a moonlight night, he has to admit that there is something out there that he cannot explain away. Furthermore, he says that the object appears to be moving slowly towards us. Now, obviously, what he has picked up cannot possibly be as close as between the Earth and the Moon. But what he has captured certainly resembles a planet. And if you look closely at the movement of the clouds in the background, you will notice that they pass in front of this very large entity. So, folks, there are some very strange things appearing in the heavens, which we just cannot explain. Images of this incoming system are becoming more prevalent each passing day, and it's up to each of us to be more vigilant and observant in the days ahead. Whatever is happening now is an ominous sign, a warning of what is coming our way. These signs are given to us so that we may warn others of the dangers that lie ahead, so that we may gain the courage and the fortitude to prepare ourselves both mentally and physically for what lies in wait.